Even though there are valleys, life goes on. And now I see I don't have any answers. I'll just take it day by day. Life goes on. Oh, oh, oh. I get so scared of life's uncertainty.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. You're in the green room with Karen Drucker today. And I think we're going to start this off a little different than normal. Instead of me just starting to talk with Karen, we're going to have Karen play us a song.
All right, so this seems like a good one right now. Just to remember, but God is my source. Yeah, God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks, yeah, for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. So if you don't want to like the word God, say love, say joy, say peace. We could go, love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Let's sing that again. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Let's say love is. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything. Let's do a little bit of peace. I think we need peace. Source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. Let's go back to God one more time. God is my source. Yeah, God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Yeah. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. Something to remember. Let me turn my reverb off.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. It's
Thank you.
true.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. So a little bit of an update. We were talking a little before we went live, and we're just in such unusual, crazy times right now.
You think?
And I just what we're doing is new a little bit to both of us, and we're stuck in this world in which we're forced to operate remotely, and this whole platform that maybe we've resisted for years because we're out live working for people. Now all of a sudden here we are learning, and as hard as we try to make everything sound good and look good, we're still subject to the mercy of the internet, and stuff can crash. And
Yeah, all of it. Well,
yeah.
it's great. It's great, Jeff. Because a while ago, I wrote a song called I don't have to be perfect. I'm doing the best I can. I give myself permission to be just who I am." And it's like I'm singing that to myself like all day long, every day, because technology and all of this stuff has been something I've put way out there. Like I just have been scared of it, and now that's all I'm doing. And I have to just keep going. I don't have to be perfect. I mean, I'm learning, I'm doing the best I can. So give yourself a break, and it's amazing. But yeah, we
Oh,
don't have to be perfect. I mean, everyone's learning at the same time.
right. Well, you just made me remember something about you and the comedy that you put in things, and you have quite the sense of humor. Now I happened to pull this picture off of Facebook,
Oh Lord,
and
what?
and it reminded me of something. This is that a picture of you with a bunch of people with kazoos.
Oh, what can I see this picture or is it going live? I can't see it right now.
It's live. If you pull up my Facebook page
Oh
on
my.
your
Oh,
own
we're gonna be
device,
so technical now.
right? So,
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
well,
So
all right. So,
so
so
yes, well so yes, kazoos, that the kazoo is sort of my main instrument, I must say. I'm very talented at kazoo playing because it's so easy. Yeah, but I do kazoos in every show I do. And actually at a Sillamar, I don't know if that's what this picture is, but at a Sillamar, I was leading the choir with David Alt,
mhm,
and I can't remember what song it was that we did, but I had 80 kazoos. Oh, it was "Oh, when joy is in my life, oh, when joy is in my life,
right.
then da 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 da, when joy is in my life." And I had them all. I had them stick the kazoos like in their bras or whatever. They take it
I,
out, and I had 80 people playing kazoos. It was
I,
so fun.
I remember that, and that's when I pulled this picture up, and now I put up a picture of you and David too. So,
Oh, I want to see these.
uh, you will be able to see it back.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. So before you started doing the New Thought thing, way back,
Way,
you
way
and
back,
I first met, we were
million
doing
years ago.
casuals together, and your world of music was like the rest of us. You were singing casuals and making your living doing,
I
you
was a
know,
wedding singer.
what?
I was playing in blues bars first. I did blues bars for, all the blues bars in San Francisco and playing any little club that would have me, any coffee shop, any hot dog stand opening, whatever. And then I went into doing when you said casuals for people who don't know what that word is, it's casuals are private parties. It's anything from corporate work to weddings to bar mitzvahs. And that's where we met, I think,
Yeah.
doing private parties. Great drummer, by the way.
Oh,
And so yeah, we I did that for years, and would play a million different weddings every weekend. And then yeah, got into New Thought after that, which was
what?
a blessing because it was like I was dying in that other world. It was just, if I had to do Evergreen and Feelings one more time, I was going to throw up. But
I know. I'm sorry for laughing, but it is. It's so
I
true.
just called to say I love you. I hated that song. And
What?
why I could never get the verses for Mac the Knife. I had to look at my cheat notes every single night. I sang Mac the Knife and New York, New York, and all these songs over and over. And some of them I just had mental blocks, like, I'm not going to learn this song.
Right?
But Jeff, my favorite story of that was, like, I remember I played a wedding, and the bride went off. She came up and said, "Thank you, Karen. Your band was so great. It's like the best day of my life. It was wonderful." And I'm feeling good. Did a good job. Everything was great. And then the mother of the bride came up and was like red in the face. And she's like right in my face going, "You did not play enough polkas. You guys need to play polkas now." And I just thought, oh my God, this is my life. This is my life. There's got to be something more than this.
And I, we've all had those moments. Here's another story. You told me, and I will never ever forget this. You said you were doing a wedding at Fogarty Winery, and you were singing, and one of your speakers went out, and you went over and looked, and there was a guy sitting at a table and thought it was too loud, and he took his pocket knife and cut the speaker cable. I will never forget that story.
Well, it always cracked me up that, like, why in the world would people put Aunt Edna, who's 95 years old, who's flown in from, Ohio, and they'll stick her at the table right next to the speakers, and they'll come up to they'll come up to you and go, "You're killing me. You're
Right.
killing me." And then you turn it way down and you do some, really soft, standard. And then the younger people will come up and go, "What did we pay you for? We want rock and roll." So then
Right.
you start doing that. And then she'll come back up and go, "You're killing me." But, one of the things about technology, Jeff, I know you can relate to this, is that for me, as a musician for, a gazillion years, all I would ever care about, if you're a professional musician, your job is 95% done when you plug the PA in and the red light goes on and you're good, and the
Yes.
PA works, and then you see all the band members come in, as long as everyone's there and the PA works, you're done. That's like
Right.
the job is done. So I think that's why this has been so interesting to me with all this technology is because it's like we could be talking right now. And like my last thing that I just did a live stream to the church. And right as I was about to start, this big thing comes across my computer. Your internet is unstable. It's like, ah, it's like, so it's like it's this constant thing of like, is it going to work? I did a concert, little Facebook live concert. I had never done anything like that, and right before I was about to start, this was like last week. Right before I was about to start, I hit start, and it just goes into beach balls. It's like it's just not loading, and I'm just freaking out, going, "Oh my god, it's time to start!" And it's like the PA isn't working.
Right.
So I'm like frantically trying to, figure it out. But I wound up going to another. Yeah, I have two Facebook pages, and the business page, I guess, didn't load, and the regular did. And but then I had all these people coming to that page, and luckily I had my wonderful assistant Sue, who was in the chat, going, "All right, everybody, go over here," sending a link. I mean, once I was on, I was fine, but it was like the beforehand, just all that technical. But I feel like it's my challenge right now. It's my opportunity to press past those fears and truly live what I talk about. I don't have to be perfect. If I'm 5 minutes late to the gig, because the thing didn't work.
Right. Well, there couldn't be a better time for us to navigate this than right now because everybody is forced to have more patience. Everybody's
Yes,
forced to slow down. We have no choice,
right,
right? And we
right.
talked about this a little bit. You called me and I said that yesterday I wasn't feeling well. And of course, the first thing is my head starts going, "Oh, I've got coronavirus." And then every little thing I'm like, "Oh, I can't breathe." Oh, e and I could tell my own mind was making me feel worse
Oh
just in
yeah.
thinking. And it's
We've all been going through that. I think it's really interesting to say that because I bet if we took a poll right now, everybody's like they'll have one little ache and go, "Oh my god, is that it? Is that it?" I've
I I know,
I've
and
been
it
feeling it too.
yeah, and it's scary, but there hasn't ever been a time that I could remember where the 2 of us would sit and have a conversation on Facebook, have the time to do this,
I know.
and
There are some gifts, there are some amazing gifts that are coming from this.
I have spent more time talking to people during this and then get a phone call after and talk for 2 hours with somebody else.
Right.
None of the people I've talked to in the last 2 weeks would have had the time to have those conversations.
That's true. I mean,
And
there's some amazing gifts that are happening with this time, of just connecting and being close to people that you haven't had the time to be with. I mean, I will tell you, for me, what was really amazing about this whole thing happening is that in January and February, I was starting to feel like, I've got to get off the train here. I've got to stop because I mean, pretty much my life has been for many years, not every weekend, but pretty much flying someplace to, I do
yeah,
these, I facilitate women's retreats and I speak at different churches. And, I love my work. I love what I do, but I hate the travel. I mean, I'm really burnt out on the travel. But even more importantly, what was happening for me personally was just even on the financial level, CDs aren't selling as much as they used to, and that's a lot of my income right there. So I would go to a gig where normally I would not make a lot at the job, but I'd make most of my money in my CD sales. Well, now that just went poof because
mhm,
people are just, oh, they'll say, can I get you on Spotify? It's like, yes, but buy my CD. I need to eat. And so I decided I'm going to take a little bit of time off in March. I'm just going to say no to a few potential gigs, take some time off, maybe sit down and figure out how to do some Facebook stuff.
right?
And, try and learn how to, like, what can I do to make a living? And Jeff, like, the world stopped because of me.
I was gonna ask you, was it you that put the order in for the slowdown?
Sorry, it's me. And, I thought, well, and it was funny because I thought, well, I could maybe afford a few weeks in March that I could just stop and I could just kind of reconfigure. And then now, like to have it be that like gig after gig after, I mean, I'm now up until like June. I'm waiting for June to start to cancel. But, April, I had a big retreat next week, at this wonderful place, 1440 at the middle of the month. And, anyway, all these things got canceled. But it's been really interesting because it has made me really do exactly what I wanted to do, which was to stop and get quiet and listen and process and see, just it. Well, my friend Alan Cohen has this great expression: make the main thing be the main thing. Let the main thing be the main thing. And I realize, I lost touch of what the main thing is for me. And so I feel like I'm getting back in touch with that. Now at the same time, I totally relate to what you're saying. There's this underlying fear every day that's happening. You just listen to the news and you could just totally freak out about everything. But I'm finding now I'm starting to get into this new groove of feeling like if I could really limit how much I watch or know, I can really get into that place of being quiet and and getting creative in a new way. And it's interesting because the first thing that happened to me when this all started to come down of the isolation part, the shelter in place, is I immediately thought, okay, I've got to teach classes then, and I'll come up with new retreats and I'll do all this stuff online. And I just got into this whole frenzy, and then I got so freaked out and tired and overwhelmed and emotional, and every ache that I would feel, it's like, oh my god. And I then saw something on Facebook where there was some, I don't know, there's some quote that someone said about just because you have this time doesn't mean you have to write that novel, get in the best shape of your life, clean your house from, it's like they gave this laundry list. And I went, that's really true. It's like
Mhm.
just because I have the time, I could really get quiet and really listen and get to a deeper level of remembering God is my source, go to that deeper place. But if I'm in that place of, oh my God, I got to make a living and I've got to do that stuff and I got to be putting all this stuff out, I'm going to bypass this time.
Well,
Still need to make a living, still need to figure it out. But I'd rather figure it out from here, from my heart, than up here from a crazed brain going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'd rather drop down and remember God is my source. What is it? What is being called for me to do? What is being asked of me in this next period? I mean, if we went back into the normal life, whatever that is, what would I be doing? Would I change how I'm doing things? And so I'm looking at all those bigger questions. What is mine to give? What is mine to do? But what is it really? What does my heart have to say about all this?
well, as musicians and as working people from sort of paycheck to paycheck our entire
Yes,
lives,
truly.
the minute gigs start falling away, our first thought is, okay, how are we going to make our money? And
We
it's
panic. We immediately go into panic, I think,
right.
a lot of us.
And, and that's normal for us to think, what are we going to do? How are we going to make use of this time? Because when our work goes away, it goes away. We don't have the 9 to 5 job that people, well,
Yeah,
they
what's
get
that?
money
So,
from.
yeah, we don't have that security. I mean, in
Right.
January, the common theme that we all used to talk about is, if you saw people in December on gigs and you'd say, "Oh, how does your January look?" And you'd say, "It's snowing," meaning there's all white on my calendar. There's
Right.
nothing there.
So it's normal for us to go there, and a lot of people have. But I think you made an excellent point that what I've learned and what you've learned now is just jumping into that frantic mode doesn't necessarily bring us the work.
Right.
Getting right inside first actually has more potential to bring us work that means something and is higher minded. You sent me something once, or told me about a book to read, and it was called The Enlightened Millionaire.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that from years ago.
Years ago, yes, and you said, you should read this book because you had been reading it, and it always makes me think there's a couple of ways to make money. You can make money from the normal way we're used to, or you can do it from a higher mindset in which you give as much as you get and the more you get, that sort of where the enlightened millionaire comes from. And that's kind of bringing me full circle to how did you get into the spiritual community and how did that all develop for you? Because if people are tuning in and don't know that part of what you're doing now, you are world famous in the
Mhm.
New Thought community. I mean, absolutely. You and David Alt and Reverend Michael Beckwith. I mean, in the New Thought world, I don't think people understand how big you are and the thought that every church wants a piece of you. I mean,
Every church was. And it's funny because when I first started, people churches would call me and I'd be like, "Yes, I'm here to serve," and I'd be flying all around the country, for $50 for a gig, and I'm like, then the serving made me burn out. But Jeff, I think it's so interesting how life works. One of the songs I sent you as an MP3 that maybe you could play later. I have a song called "The Call of Something More," and the chorus of that says, I feel the call of something more. I feel the call to be someone I've never been before. I feel the call of something more. And it's asking me, what am I here for? What am I here for? So I remember after my polka experience with that wedding, I remember going into the ladies' room and just crying, going, I have this can't be it for me. I mean, I feel that there's this call in me to do something and I had no idea what it was because at that time, I'm just playing gigs. I'm playing casuals and I don't know even I mean, I'm not even I mean, I was a spiritual person, but I didn't even know about centers for spiritual living or unity churches or any of that. That just wasn't my world. And so I remember saying, like, having this moment where even though I didn't even really connect with God or spiritual, I just remember saying, I know there's something more for me and I need it to be shown. And it was so interesting because I was friends with Melissa Felipe, who and she was ahead of she was down the path farther than me. She was the musical director of a church up in Napa. And she called me one day and said, "Hey, I need to do this other thing. Can you sub for me, for this job at this church?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't do church. What are you talking about?" She said, "Oh, look, I'll pay you $100. Just, show up and sing a few happy songs." And I'm like, "Well, what else?" And she said, basically, "What else are you going to do on a Sunday morning? You're going to work late Saturday night, just come sing a few happy songs." So I show up at this church and they're not throwing things at me or making me sing Feelings or Evergreen. And it was like, well, this is kind of cool. But then she started to use me more and more, to sing at this church. And pretty soon I ran out of happy songs. I realized I needed to find other songs to sing. And so pretty soon I was writing songs to what the minister was going to talk about. And at the same time, I'm going, wow, I didn't even realize there was a philosophy that is about what I already think, about how we create our own reality and, our thoughts determine what our world is going to be. And so I just started showing up at this church every Sunday. And then pretty soon she moved on. I became the music director. But the point is, it's like I must have had some sort of a shift in that moment where I said, okay, whoever's out there, spirit, universe, whatever, show me what to do because I'm lost. And I know that there's more for me in my life than singing a polka at someone's wedding. And it was like this gradual shift that happened in my life that I became the music director of this church. But then what was really interesting, Jeff, is that 9/11 happened. And I had just put out no, 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 no. I'm wrong. No, no, no. This is not right. Wait, 2000. When was this? There was just this shift that all of a sudden my music people start. I mean, I had made a CD of one of my just my songs, thinking it was just going to be for my church that I was playing at, and all of a sudden people started to pick up on my music, and I just feel like it was just this shift that happened for me of going from what wasn't really working to eventually, and it wasn't like I just said, show me, and then the next day I'm doing spiritual music. It was this gradual shift that moved me into this whole new place that I had no idea even existed, and then I became a music director of the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living and Santa Rosa Church, and I was, a music director, and that's how I was making my living. But one of the things I say in all my women's retreats, I think is a great way of looking at when you're making changes in your life. I love this story that I was part of the first American women's relay team to swim the English Channel in 1989. And one of the things that happens is when you are swimming, you're going in this zigzag like this, all the way across the channel. You don't go straight across. And what's really interesting is that that's what life is that we just go in these zigzags and you don't know. And one of the things that's really interesting is that you have to sign a waiver before you swim the English Channel saying, yes, if a tanker ship is coming my direction and it runs me over and smashes me into 9 million pieces, that's fine. Here's my letter. And what's so interesting is a tanker ship has to know a mile out that it's going to make a 1 degree shift. It needs to know a mile out that it's going to start to turn. So, in other words, if you're swimming right in front of it, it can't go like this. So, that's what I think is interesting about when we're making these changes in our lives, to really see that it's like our lives are like these tanker ships. You have to first have it in consciousness that you're saying, so I'm knowing that there's something more for me out there. I don't know what it is yet, or maybe I do know, but it's way over there. But you make that shift. It's just this, and then all of a sudden the tanker ship starts to go in that direction. But it takes time and patience. And that's how I got into all this stuff. It's just that I just started to say, I know that there's something more for me, and show me. And it started to happen, and I started to write more songs, and you know, that's it.
That was kind of the late 90s. Is that correct? When did
Well,
you
my first album was 1999. In 2009, yeah.
yeah.
So it
So
really started to take off after. Wow, I don't know. It just started to just take off after that.
this is my recollection of it, and I want to talk about this in a minute too. The fact that you swim and you do this, the bay, what is that group of people that get and swim the bay to Alcatraz and back?
Well, I belong to a place called the Dolphin Club in San Francisco, and then right next door it is another club called the South End Club. And yeah, so I've been a member there for like 35 years. And so we do these swims in the bay. We do Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge. And I've been on a relay team from Lanai to Maui in Hawaii. I do Lake Tahoe. I've done that 15 times as a relay. So the English Channel is kind of the pinnacle. But, bay swimming to me is probably the most spiritual thing that I do. And it's interesting because the only thing that really freaked me out the most about shelter in place was that all the pools were closed. I mean, we
Oh,
can't swim. And it's like if you take away my swimming, it's like, so I was like, what am I going to do? But a lot of my teammates I'm on a swim team here in Marin County. We have these cocktail parties every Friday night, on Zoom, and a lot of people are out there just swimming in the bay. And I mean, I'm a little spoiled because when I swim in the bay, I can go into a hot shower and sauna at the Dolphin Club, but that's closed. So I will probably be bucking up and getting in there probably in about a week or so. And you just get out of the water and you just, shake for about an hour. But I need my water. So, but it's like the most spiritual thing I do. I love swimming, but bay swimming, especially the cold water, is like another metaphor of like, how do you live your life? Do you hit up a wall against something and go back, or do you breathe through it, which is what happens when you hit that cold. You have to breathe through it and just start to adapt. And then all of a sudden you're in nirvana land and it's fabulous.
well, now that's going to bring me back to what we were just talking about, church and how you got into it. And you may not know this, but you were pretty instrumental in me making a spiritual shift for myself. I remember talking to you, maybe it was 99 or 2000 or something, and you had been doing or were going to do Asilomar retreats for all the Science of Mind
Right.
churches. And
And
excuse
you were
me.
my first pick as a drummer. I was just like, I wanted you.
And I appreciate that. And you called me and I said, yeah, I'll be there for you. whatever
It's
you
kind of this
need.
woo-woo thing. I don't know if you're gonna like it, but it's a bunch of it's a bunch of
And,
really
and
happy people,
I know it was a little weird at first because everybody's all
huggy and lovey.
and love and there was a couple of people that were on the first year I did it. You called me and I went, and David Alt was there. Excuse me. I think Ross Qualco was
Yeah, he
the
played piano for yeah,
and then Rick Walt and Joe Munch.
right.
I think the and here's the thing that I couldn't figure out. This I was having trouble learning this was Joe was one of those guys that was always happy, always just uh, and I had learned to not trust somebody that could be so happy.
What's
I
your
just
problem? There must be a motive. You must have
something wrong with a guy that's just always so happy. But the longer I got involved in it and the more I was around it, it sort of took over me. It became something that
well, it rubs off on you. If you're around happy people, it's pretty hard to just be really in a bad mood if you're just around, we were all really, I mean, I would have to say that those times at Asilomar, I mean, I was music director of both United Church of Religious Science and Religious Science International, and then we merged to become Centers for Spiritual Living. But I did that for, God, I don't even know, 8, 10 years or something like that,
yeah,
and it was the highlight. I mean, every summer I would look forward to. I mean, that was like if I look back on memories from that time and some of those pictures that like you've even put some of
I've
those
got one.
pictures out.
I've got one that I'm going to put up, and this is and you and I have talked about this, and you and David and I have talked about this. That moment when it was a week in which it had been foggy pretty much the whole week,
All the way in
and
Pacific Grove, yes.
we were standing out on, and there I got the picture up there, and we were watching
The
in silence
sunset.
the sunset, and my memory of that was it was the first time and maybe the last time I felt such a sense of peace and freedom from fear. I felt no fear, no doubt, no
Mm,
lack. It was just a centered place that I have never felt before then.
me too.
And I can't remember a time since then I've had that sense of calm and quiet. And I put that picture up here, and I'm gonna zoom into it, especially so people can get a close up picture of this. And all of us that were there, there's Jack Fowler, Rick Walt, David, um, oh my gosh, Joe, me, you, and then why
Oh,
can't I
I
remember?
can see it. Look at me. Look at how
Yeah,
technical I
yeah.
am. I can see what you're talking about. Yeah. So if that's the same picture, so yeah, that and then Donna Michael.
Donna, yeah. And what an amazing,
Oh,
and then here's and then there's a close up of the of us and David and Donna and Jack and you and me.
oh God.
And
The
oh
best. And to talk about oneness, I mean, we were all there in service mode. We were all there to just do music, and we would there was such love that was happening in that back room. We would just we I mean, I truly in all of my life, I have never laughed so much and so hard as I did. And also we were so exhausted. I mean, we would start like at 7:30 in the morning and go till 11, 12 at night for, 7 days. And then at one point when I was doing both things back to back, I was doing this for 3 weeks. Nonstop. It was like being on a cruise ship. Like the next group of people would come in for the week, and then the next they would leave, and the new people would come in. But it was just that bonding and love. I mean, to me, that time in my life was just so connected and so um the idea of oneness. I mean, that's where I experienced oneness. And I think that moment, that picture that you're talking about, is like we were watching the sunset, and I remember we weren't even talking. We were all just
no,
standing there and just feeling this love and this connection, and I aspire to get back to those feelings. I mean, it's pinnacles, highlights of my life.
ab- and I 100% agree. Exact same spot. And my at that time, my whole thought and perception of what God is and how I relate to that up until that point, I had grown up in the church of God is outside of me. I got
Right.
to pray to Him for Him to make me okay. And it was during those conferences that I started to get the idea that I'm not separate from God.
Yeah.
And it was hanging out with all of you. And then I cannot forget Maggie Cole because she cornered me out in a parking lot and started asking me some questions. And she looked at me and said, "So how are you doing?" And I said, I'm not sure. I'm feeling bad. I was going through a divorce at the time. And I was crying a little bit, and she stopped me and she goes, "Honey, you know Maggie, honey, what what
Honey?
just look at me, and what do you see me? Look at me and tell me how you see me." So I described her to her about how beautiful and calm and the light and everything. And then she stopped me and said, "I want you to know that you could not see that in me
If
if
you
it
couldn't
wasn't
have
in
it, if
you."
it's not there for yourself, it's yeah.
And it at that moment, I just it just was an explosion and a river of crying.
Well,
And I
I
think
have to say to you, I remember watching you transform, and it just because it would just be this because you were there. I mean, you literally came in as a casuals musician that I played gigs with,
right?
and you I just to watch you transform and open up to these principles and ideas, and your heart was just opening. I mean, I just remember being in awe of watching you being willing to strip away and look at and go deeper, and it's what it's all about.
Well, and that led to another moment that was pivotal in my transformation in my spiritual concepts was all of that floodgates of all those emotions from years started coming out. And I walked in one night, and I think it was after the night service, and they were there was a dance and different things that happened after the night services. And I sat down, and Maggie and Rick and Joe came over and started talking to me, and I started crying. And I had this meltdown of emotions from years, and the three of them did nothing but put their arms around me and their hands on me and just sat there and
Hold
held
the
me.
space, yeah.
They did not say a word. And that is when I officially kind of moved into, okay, I think I can heal a little bit. I got some stuff, it's coming out. And from that point on, my whole shift in my thinking has become what you preach and you sing about and you talk about with all your in your women's retreats. And I just want to jump to that
Well,
because
one thing before you do, I want to just say one of the powers of what is happening right now is you just mentioned Maggie Cole, and Maggie Cole, like tonight, I think at 5 o'clock. I don't know. Maybe I could send you a link, or do you
I,
already have it, Jeff? That
I
she's
got an
doing
email.
her Zoom.
Yeah.
So I mean, people could go tonight and watch her do her magic. I mean, she's amazing,
Honey,
honey, honey. No, I started off actually. That's how I started doing women's retreats was with Maggie. Maggie and I were a team for many years. We did a lot of stuff together.
and I think that
Great teacher.
those first couple of years then, and I did a Silmar with you, I think for a short period of time, I bought a handful of your CDs, and I got this little book by John Randolph Price, and I gave your CD and a book out to people as gifts for their birthdays.
Wow, thank you.
For Yeah, I bought it like a dozen of them for a year. I did that for friends. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, what happened for you and what you were doing with Maggie, you've been instrumental in helping women. And what is it that you do with your women's retreats?
Well, again, it's another one of those zigzag curve things that I was music director, and then actually it was David Alt who said, I think there's more for you than just being at one church, and it was like, no, 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 these people know me and they love me, and I can't go anyplace else. But one of the things I've always said is like if you can have a friend who knows you hold the vision of something better for you that you can't see for yourself. I actually just wrote a song with Claudia Carawan that says, I can so see it for you. I can so see it for you. You can let go because I know I can so see it for you. And like David could see that I could be going out to churches and doing more than, than what I was doing every Sunday. And so, from there I did that. But everything just sort of evolved, into these new places where by being out more in the world and saying, okay, I'm available to whatever, I started to play conferences where I would hook up with different new thought authors, and from there I started to do music for them. Like Alan Cohen was a great person I worked with for years, and Joan Borisenko, and I did a lot of stuff with David Alt. And so eventually I started to have some of these churches call me and say, well, I hear you do these retreats. Could you just come and do it? Can you come and do a retreat for us? And the first time I did it, I mean, I thought I was going to throw up. It's like, how do I have, 60, 90 women? I have them in all different things. Sometimes they would be small, but a lot of them would be like 60 women that I'm in charge of from Friday night until Sunday afternoon. And to put that together and to see how to do that was so it was such a stretch. But I just really took all the things that I am learning and I'm going through. I mean, I always say this with every retreat I do. It's like you all are just here as my, therapy uh, playmates, because we're all going through this together. I don't have the knowledge about anything that I can say here. This is what you should do. This is what I'm going through too. I'm learning. And these women's retreats for me have been life changing because the women that show up are so willing. I mean, just like you at Asilomar, just going, okay, I'm going to have a meltdown. Here I go. I've never done this before, but, let it, I'm just willing to heal. And that's what these retreats have been for me. It's been an opportunity for me to grow and learn and be in this wise woman council. I did Unity Churches. I did Unity Village for 10 years with Lori Sandstrom and Maggie, and I did that together. And, I've just done a bunch of different things, but I find that the retreats I'm leading now, or we'll see what happens next, have really been for me to start to really look at, all right, what's up in my life right now? What is it that I need to look at and work on? And who do I want to take along for the journey? And so, like the one that just got canceled was called Self Care for Turbulent Times.
Oh,
And
how
interestingly enough, this was at this place I mentioned before called 1440 University down in Santa Cruz. She came back to me and said, well, it's canceled, but we're looking at all of our teachers doing an online workshops and retreats. And I really sat with that for a couple days thinking, how can I do a 3-day retreat online? And I will be honest with you, Jeff, and I had to call her and just say, I can't within the next 2 weeks figure out what I've done for 10 years and put that 10 years of a in-person retreat, learn how to do that in 2 weeks online. I said, I really want to do it, and I need some time to just putter in my garden and clean the house and let those thoughts just sort of organically start to weave around in my mind of how to do this. So it's there, it's coming up for me. I'm needing to go inside and have the new way of presenting myself come. I don't know what that looks like yet.
yeah,
It'll be a teaching for me.
yeah, yeah. You know, I think that when people show up for these retreats and your classes and those kinds of things, I don't know, and even myself as a guest being at something like that, I don't know if I fully or people fully comprehend how much it teaches those presenting the conferences or like you as a presenter, as a host of a women's retreat, what the growth that you can feel and go through. Because a lot of times when I show up for something, I'm thinking about me and I'm thinking about what they're giving me and I'm going to get from them. But a lot of times I don't think what they're going through and the change and learning they're going through just to give me their experience, strength, and hope.
Well,
Right. So
it's a give and receive. It's give, receive, take. Just, it's this circle. that happens. I mean, in a way, what I've really tried to do was take what we got from a Silomar, everything we just were just gushing about. I've tried
Right.
to put that in a 3-day retreat. I've tried to
Mm,
take that experience and put it in a 3-day retreat so that people get really bonded. They feel so, I mean, the main thing about my retreats is I want it to always be that my main job is to set a safe container. If I can
mm,
set that safe container, miracles can happen. It's not about what I'm teaching them. I mean, I'm like secondary to the process. I'm mainly holding the space and setting the container, and we do that with a lot of music. I mean, I we do like an hour of just chanting and meditation and movement and stuff before I even start teaching anything, in the mornings. So I think that what we were talking about with the Silomar is that it was just there was that safety,
mhm,
that safety that you could cry. And so, that's in my retreats, that's really the main thing I'm going for, is just that people feel so safe that they can take whatever mask they've been walking around thinking they had to keep on, let it, take it off and just be real and be authentic, and that's where the transformation comes, and that's what I think we're going through now in all of this, because all the things that we have identified with of being out in the world, and I'm a swimmer and I'm a retreat facilitator and I've got to get my gigs, I got to get all my details of my flights and my car and everything together, all that stuff has been taken away from me. So who am I? Who am I? What do I want to give to the world now? What is it that is going to fill me up? Um, and I don't know. I don't know yet.
it's almost like the world has been thrust into a introspective, whether we like it or not. Okay, everybody, take this moment
Yeah.
and look and slow down, see what's important.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
um,
saw a thing about Mother Earth saying, I saw some little Facebook thing like Mother Earth has said, all right, kids, you've been bad. Go to your room until I tell you you can come out.
get a timeout.
And that's
Yeah,
the other thing. My women's retreats, the one that I was about to do is called a woman's timeout. And I would always start these retreats saying, remember when you were a kid and your mom said, go, Timmy, go take a timeout. Well, like now I was craving for a timeout. It's like, give me a timeout. Let me go
right.
sit in the corner and have a cookies. And I just have to sit there for a few hours. I'm thrilled.
Yeah. What what your first CD that you did, wasn't it chants? Didn't you do chants? Can you give me an example or show us an example of what a chant is that you do?
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. That's a chant. It's just repeating words that you're going to say over and over, or even this: I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy, holy, holy. I am whole. I mean, something that you are saying over and over that you're going to drop into your heart. It's not a full song where you're thinking about, okay, here's the chorus, here's the verse, here's all this information. A chant is something that you bypass your brain and you go right into your heart, so you can close your eyes and you could be going, I am holy. I mean, even this one, this is the main one I'm singing to myself right now. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I'll sing that again. I will be gentle with, or even I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I will love myself like a newborn baby child. So a chant is just simply something really, it could be a one line, it could be 2, 3, 4 lines, but it's something you just say over and over. So saying, I will be gentle with myself, and having that be what I call an earworm, where it just gets in your head and you just keep singing that all day long. Especially right now when you're trying to do new things, or you're thinking you should be doing more and whatever, to just hear, I will be gentle with myself. What an affirmation. So basically, chants are affirmations put to
Yeah.
music.
The one, "You Are the Face of God," that I remember at a Silomar, and you have something you do with your hands where
You are the face of God.
right.
I hold you in my heart as I, and you scoop the person's essence into your heart. You are a part of me as you, and then your part, my part, coming together into my heart. You are the face of God. So yeah, that's become the thing in New Thought. Like if people know that song, you walk around the room and you do this to each other without singing, and like everyone just turns into puddles. It's just so
It,
sweet because
it,
we're singing. You know, you are me, I am you. We are one here. That's what that song is really saying.
that's the memory I have of that song at a Silmar with everybody doing that in the room, and how it sort of overtakes everybody emotionally. And you're right, it just the tears just wash down everybody's face.
Yeah. It's great. I mean,
It is
that's
powerful.
what I live for is seeing that because it just means that people's hearts have opened up, you know, that they're open to. I mean, that's why for me, doing songs like that and also doing comedy, anything that makes people's hearts open up, that's when you start to drop into that deeper place of trusting, you know, and hearing yourself. And that's
So
when the magic happens.
I have a question for you. So the thing you did last week when your first, it was like an hour long live stream, right? And your husband John, who
Yes.
is one of the most amazing guitar players ever in the world,
Yes,
and
he
one of the
is.
sweetest people in the world,
Yes.
was there helping you out.
I loved it. I mean, it was a dream come true for me because I love playing music with him. And I mean, that's how I started off. We used to have a duo. We would go to little clubs, you know, all around and play, you know, a night of music. And, you know, I'm on the road. And so I just have him in my CD tracks. You know, I can play my CD tracks and he's there, but it's not the same. And I kept saying, you know, I kept saying to him, you know, in this time when I was going to take time off, I would really love to develop how I could do a house concert someplace, but where am I going to do it and how do I do it? And because I want to be able to work with him and he doesn't want to go on the road with me. He's no dummy. So it just cracked me up that like, oh, you know, it's exactly what I was saying before. Like, okay, God, how is this going to work out? Who knew in a million years that my house concert means that you all are coming into my house, that I can have him 5 feet away from me playing guitar and, you know, we're we're making music, but you all get to come and see what we do. So I'm doing another one. When am I doing it? April 26th. I'm going to do
is
another one.
is he in the room?
He's in the room. We didn't have space. Well, he also doesn't want to be on camera. I was thinking we should do the masked singer where we stick a mask on him. But no, he was just on the other side because he had to be operating the computer and, you know, doing stuff there. So I was here and he
Right.
was just right over there playing. But yeah, he was playing guitar.
He's one of the most amazing guitar players ever.
He
You
was
know,
also making barnyard animal noises right before I went on stage. It's like we started the thing, you know, we had like a minute to make sure that it worked. And so he has his iPad and I mean, if you go to my Facebook page and you watch this thing, the first 2 minutes are like sheeps and goats and moose. I'm like, yeah, this is my husband. Yeah.
that is John,
That's John.
right? So at the end, though, at the end of that, didn't you bring out a doll?
I brought out well, it was funny. That morning I woke up and went, I just like it was one of those thoughts. Like I can't even believe that I remembered that someone made me a Karen Drucker puppet years ago. I did a show in Dallas and there was this woman who did these puppets and she did this whole show. I think it's even online. You could see that
Mhm.
she did this whole show that she had all these little characters of one of my songs. I believe in Fireflies was the song and she had all these little puppets, but she had this Karen Drucker puppet that she made and you know, later on, she wound up giving it to me, but it's like I've had it in a box for years. And that morning, I woke up and went, "Oh my god!" Because I would never take that thing on the road with me. I'm going to put that in a suitcase. But I thought I can now actually use it, so I'm going to be using. I should have brought it with me right now, but yeah,
Well, something else I just want to mention. You didn't for a period of time, and maybe even still, but you were able to write shows and funny lines on songs for corporate things. Didn't you do that for a
yeah.
while?
My comedy partner Lauren Mayer,
Yeah.
laurenmayer.com. You should check out her comedy songs; they're fabulous. We had a business called Drucker and Mayer, and that's That's the other thing. Before I did this whole spiritual thing, I made a lot of my living doing the weddings, but also doing corporate parties that we did full shows with wigs and costumes and rewrites and original songs to Hewlett Packard and Clorox and IBM and whoever. And I did that for years. And then 9/11 happened, and everyone went, "That's it. No more. We can't have fun anymore. No more parties." And our business went totally just poof.
Yeah, we're going to be something similar is going to happen to a lot of endeavors now, I think. And what new is going to emerge from this may be a bunch of this online thing. I
Could be. I mean, who knows? I mean, and that's the thing. We have to be so open. I mean, I think that's another reason why I thought of God as my source as my first song here, because it feels to me like we've got to keep. I mean, I'm going to speak for me. I have to keep affirming that if I go to that deeper place within me, as opposed to this place up here, which is just going to go into panic, that deeper place in me to say, something is going to emerge from this that I don't know yet. I don't need to know yet, but it will come. I mean, when that happened with Lauren and I, we were freaked out. That was our business. But she wound up going off and doing her own. I mean, she has a whole new career of doing political songs, and I went into the spiritual world. I mean, that wouldn't have happened. I mean, so many things. I mean, I don't know about you, but I literally am one of these people that I could say if I wasn't fired from the Velvet Turtle 30 years ago, I would still be there, singing Cocktail Hour. So I have to look at everything as it's being emerged in some new way, and maybe we're in that caterpillar cocoon, place where you're just into the mush land right now that you don't know what it's going to look like, but something will emerge. And if I can bring what I do to more people instead of me actually flying to one church and just seeing those people, if I could do talks and retreats and do whatever this way, I mean, that would be amazing. But
and,
um,
and then you
who
can hang
knows?
out with John. You can hang out with your husband John more.
Well, I'm loving it. He just said the other day, he said, this is so different for us to now have so much time, and we're actually writing together again. Luckily, I got John Arbor over here right before the shutdown to put down a bunch of keyboard parts, and we recorded 6 songs. And I remember I called John R and said, can you and my hubby, can we just put down 6 songs? I have no idea if I'm going to make a CD. I have no idea where these songs are going to go, but I just want to record again because I hadn't done it for a couple of years. And so I've got these songs in the can, and so we're working on them, and I'm hoping by the end of this month I'll have 2 new songs out.
Oh,
And that
fantastic.
hasn't happened for a long time. So that's the positive part of this.
Now, just so you know, this whole time, and you probably could see on your Facebook, um, I've had your website up,
Oh, thank you.
karendrucker.com. Can you
Wow.
see that?
Yes, what a kick.
And unfortunately, people have to look at me occasionally.
Oh, please. Ah. Oh no, I don't want to have that. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. That's
Oh,
very cool. You're doing a great job, Jeff. This is great. And who knows what's going to happen for you? I mean, maybe you're going to wind up having this be a series that someone picks up and you start making money from it. I mean, who knows?
well, uh, what I know is whether anybody's tuning in or not, that if I make this consistent, excuse me for my coughing, that if if I do this at the same time every day for weeks and just keep on doing it no matter what, eventually, if people like me and what I'm doing, eventually it'll catch on. And you're right, who knows?
Who knows? And
But
so my friend Alan Cohen sent this. I have a good one. I have this right in my main book that I look at every day. When you serve with love, spirit finds spirit finds ingenious ways to pay you. When you serve with love, spirit finds ingenious ways to pay you. So,
well,
who
having
knows?
said that, the whole reason why I started doing this was just to give myself something to do so I wouldn't go nuts. Right? It's the whole reason. I had no other motive than to just do something and just talk to people because it's keeping me sane. But we're almost at an hour, but I'd like to do something different than normal. And what I'd like to do is just put the camera on you and turn your reverb on. And would you take us out with a song?
Yeah.
Here I am being the director.
Oh, you are the director. It's your show. You're the star.
So so take us out with something, and then we're just going to close the show and we'll fade out with your song.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Jeff. This was really fun. And
Yes,
that's an example to me. One of the things that I think is really great is in all my retreats, I have an exercise that I got from Alan Cohen, actually, where you just say, this is it, this is not it, this is it, this is not it. And when something's it, there's like no time. So something like this, when you said an hour went up, it's like, you're kidding. We've been talking for an hour. That's when you show you're in your it. So thank you. You did a great job. I appreciate it. I appreciate you asking me. Okay. You're a good friend, Jeff. So I think I'd like to end with this because I think that when I think of what chant do I need right now to remember to come back to center, it's this one. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. I'll sing that again. Sing with me now. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. I am held, I am whole, I surrender to it all. When I trust and let go, then I know that all is well. I am well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. Just that last line. I am safe and all is well. And I am safe and all is well. All is well.